My name's John. This is In Air Outdoors. Welcome to the channel. For those of you new to the channel, I got this truck special ordered through Ford using their X-Plan program at my local dealer. I elected to get the XLT package with the V6 2.7 liter EcoBoost. I got the advanced tech and trailering package with it, and spray and bed liner, rubber floor mats, surprisingly good from the factory, and the bedside steps. And I owe you guys an update on my thoughts, so let's go for a ride. So, bluff, bottom line up front. I wouldn't change a thing. I would order this exact same truck again in a heartbeat. Now, I knew when I was getting it, I was giving up some fancy stuff from the Lariat, and I definitely don't need the Raptor, hence the channel name. So, I know what I was getting into when I got it. The fact that I've got the smaller driver display doesn't bother me, and the key actually really doesn't bother me. I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. I'm really pleased with the engine. It is very smooth, and even though it has the auto start stop, I don't notice it. And that makes a huge difference. I noticed it a lot more when I test drove the 4-cylinder versions. It was a little bit more shaky when it started up in the truck. You could notice that when you were driving. This is much more seamless, a lot closer to kind of how my wife's hybrid is. I really like a couple of the advanced features that the technology package gave me as well. I'm really glad that I sprung for that. So the lane assist, it's surprisingly good. My old car had something similar. It was more invasive. This is a gentler nudge, kind of providing a little bit of resistance if you're wandering rather than jerking you back to center. You can turn it off easily. I'm just leaving it on. Again, it doesn't bother me. I like the way it works. I think it is a good safety feature. I did notice when driving it on the interstate that it would, if I'm going on a straight section, think my hands aren't on the wheel when they were. So I really like that feature. It's hard to show you, but something to think about. And it's part of the advanced tech package. The other thing that was really surprising to me that I didn't actually get the package specifically for, but have been really enjoying and finding useful, is the 360-degree camera system. You can activate it so that it's on when you want it to, but the other really nice thing about it is that when you get near to something, so when the little sensors on the bumper realize you're close to something, it'll actually trigger it so you can see how close you are to things. So I really like that. I'm going to try to show you that. Creep up on this cone. When it senses something, display comes up there as well. Also works if you come up alongside something. Now, if I were about to actually hit it, it would actually apply the brakes for me, which is nice, although sometimes if you want to back into a bush fully, it won't really let you do it. And then the last really cool thing about this particular system that I find surprisingly useful, again, this is not the reason I purchased this particular package. It just came with what I wanted with the cruise control, is when you're backing into a space, which is the safest thing to do, it gives you really nice lines to line up on the actual space so you can get nice and centered. So yeah, that's the 360 camera. I'm pretty pleased with it. You can override, force things, trailer view. You can do just a hitch down view, which also has the sensors for how close you get to stuff. It's a different sensor though, it's weird. Straight back into the side for really backing into tight spaces, straight back, and then just the all around view. So I also am really pleased with the way the truck handles. So I've never had a midsize or a compact truck before. I've had a full size, and this doesn't feel like that. It does feel like a truck still, but it turns closer to like my wife's Highlander. It's more nimble. It actually doesn't feel that much different than the CX5 I came from, which is tiny. It is big though, like it's bigger than those vehicles. But Ford's done a really good job of putting you in the right position to be able to see things. So the previous truck I had, it was a 2015 GMC Sierra. The hood had a really detrimental effect on your sight lines. Ford's done a good job, even with this facelift to give it a more aggressive look, where the hood doesn't interfere with your vision. So I really like that. They've done a good job keeping the glass kind of out of the way so that you can still, or not the glass, the pillars out of the way. They've kept them slim so they don't bother you too much. And yeah, I have just, I wouldn't have gotten the Lariat. I'm glad I didn't. I think the XLT is exactly what I needed. I haven't missed the things that the Lariat had. Now, there is a lot of controversy over the key specifically. That's the one comment that kept coming up is like, I can't believe you bought a vehicle that doesn't have push button start. And yeah, it's a little weird that Ford didn't include that. I'm not going to lie. It is odd at this price point that you're still getting a key, but I'm kind of glad that I do have the key. So, and it has to do with how I use the truck and what I use it for and who I use it with. With my family, anytime, and I provide a lot of child transport, so I'm in the car with my kids a lot. And they're always running ahead of me. So I'm always pulling my key fob out of my pocket. So my last car had the push button start, the keyless entry, all that stuff. You know, you grab the door handle and it opens. I never used any of it because my kids are always running ahead of me and I would want to unlock the door for them so they could get in before I got there. So I'm pulling the key fob out of my pocket anyway. And then the other thing is I don't put keys on my key ring. I've done a lot to not have keys on my key ring. I really don't like having a bunch of stuff in my pockets when I'm walking around. And again, I don't put other keys on my key ring. We have a keyless entry pad at the house. My work, it's a little fob that stays on my badge. And I just don't have keys. So I have a problem, at least with the driving position I'm in. And then I'm in the medical field. I wear scrubs a lot. And what would happen is the keyless entry key, because it's got nothing else with it, would slide out of my pocket and fall in between the seats. So I'm still pulling my key out of my pocket to keep it from sliding down between the seats. And then I had to find a place to put it. I don't have to deal with that with the keyed entry. I'm pulling it out of my pocket anyway to unlock it. I'm opening it and it's got a great storage place, the key slot. So again, I'm really glad that I actually got the keyed system. It works better for me. It's also a really good fidget toy. So click it open, click it close, click it open, click it close. I'm sure I'm going to wear it out and regret it later on. My wife is also kind of similar in that she doesn't like use a purse. So she's always pulling her key out of her pocket, unlocking it, and then she puts it someplace in the car. So I think that you guys that are just up in arms about this not having a push button start are really blowing it out of proportion. And I wouldn't let that be a detriment for purchasing this vehicle, especially at this trim. If you got to have the push button start, just get a Lariat. get a Raptor, you know, you have that option. Now, there are some downsides. And these are downsides I knew going into it, but you probably should know too. One, Ford's quality control isn't great. There's been a service bulletin for the hood latch. I fixed that myself. There's a video I did on it. One of my doors, the striker plate was pushed in too far, so the door was either super hard to shut or it triggered a open door alarm. And I fixed that myself too. And then, you know, I'm still figuring out, is everything working right? I gotta try some stuff when it gets colder, make sure the defrost's working, all that stuff. But they're not showstoppers. They're just things you need to know. Do a really good walk around when you get the truck. If you have any concerns, just go ahead and call out the dealer right then and there and be like, hey, you need to fix this, you need to fix this, you need to fix this. Or if you want to do it yourself, some of them aren't too hard to do. The other thing, so gas mileage, if I drive comfortably, but not playfully, the gas mileage is okay. 18 and a half or so. Now, these trucks, to my understanding, this engine, this drivetrain, it does take some time to fully break in. So I still think I am in that break-in phase. And I did notice there was a difference between the first 500 miles and the second 500 miles. But gas mileage, you know, it's okay. It's not great. You're paying more for that bigger engine and getting less gas mileage, but that bigger engine, I'm telling you, it's worth it. Car and Driver just did a test of it for its 0 to 60, and it's like 0.3 seconds off of what the Raptor is. It's quick, and it does suck gas with that. So I spent the first 1,000 miles just taking it easy, trying to make sure that the truck was braking in appropriately, and then these last 200 miles I've been playful, and I definitely saw a decrease in gas mileage to about 17 miles per gallon. But that's totally on me. The problem with that, and again, I was aware of this going into it. It's not a new problem. It was a problem, or it was an identified detriment of the last generation, is that Ford does not put a very big gas tank in these. So it's like 18.6 gallons. So you're going to fill this up more frequently. It doesn't mean that the gas mileage is bad, especially the 4-cylinder is pretty darn good. And again, if I drive it how I probably should be driving it, it's not a huge deal. But the gas tank, it is smaller. I really feel they should have put like a 20-gallon in this like they did with the Raptor. But it is what it is. Just know you're going to be filling it up a little bit more frequently. I'm getting about 2 weeks of use out of it. Your mileage may vary. I am really excited going forwards. I have done some things to the truck I'm really, maybe not proud of, but I'm really happy with. So we got a ditch lights. I've got a video on that. And one of the reasons I haven't made this video yet is I've been working on a couple other projects. So I've got a hidden light bar going in that it's in. You could see the side effects of it, the running lights in the intro shot. But I was working on a video to show you how I did that. And I'm still waiting on my camper. So I did make a decision on my camper. I'm going to hold off on telling you what I decided for a little bit. But I've got a camper coming for the back. It should be installed mid-January, I hope. And if that's your jam, really subscribe, because I'm going to go over how I'm going to seal the bed up, how to seal the bed rails. I've got a really cool tailgate seal kit that I got from Australia, which I'm going to show an install on. But yeah, I again, you know, I'm super happy. This thing's awesome. I would not choose differently were I ordering this truck again. I would absolutely get a Ranger again. I would absolutely get the V6. I would get the advanced tech package. I don't know if I need the trailer tow package, but it wasn't that much more to get it. And it future-proofs me if I do want to tow something. Yeah, if you're looking at mid-sized trucks, make sure to drive one of these Rangers. Make sure to drive the V6. I absolutely wouldn't get the four-cylinder. I'm thrilled with this V6. I know the four-cylinder is a great engine, but the V6 is just phenomenal. It has far more power than I need, and I'm really hopeful that when the camper shell goes on the back, my miles per gallon won't take as big a hit because I have the bigger engine than it would with the four-cylinder. So yeah, any comments, leave them below. I'll try to respond as appropriate. Update for gas mileage too. That will be updated in the spreadsheet below, but the second to last tank, where I was still driving like a normal human, 18.6. This last tank with quite a bit of sport mode, which is fun. And very different than most sport modes I've used in other vehicles in the past. It actually changes things to a noticeable point, not just keeping it in a gear for longer. Closer to 17, but knew that was going to happen. So, yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, guys. I am enjoying making these videos. It shows me you're appreciating them, and hopefully you found a little bit of use out of this. So.
No roar!